To you the situation where we are. It's very hectic. You can probably hear those gunshots. We're about 200 yards, even less than 200 yards away from the entrance to the Kabul airport. We just drove through it quickly. It's absolutely impossible to stop there. And I say we drove through it quickly. You can't drive through it quickly. It's bumper to bumper. Cars are barely moving. There are Taliban fighters all around. We actually did see them physically with truncheons trying to get them back.
Damn, dude. Afghanistan has NA internet right here. Look at this.
We have seen them and heard them a lot as well, firing on the crowds to disperse the crowds. It's a little difficult to see from this vantage point, and it's a slightly edgy situation, so I don't want to push our luck. But all along the roadside over there, there's just hundreds of people who are basically waiting, desperately trying to get out of the country. It's not clear if they have their paperwork in order, if they've been declined and told that they can't enter the gates, or if they simply don't have the wherewithal to get inside. Cameraman Will Bonnet's just panning off right now. You can see it's a pretty large crowd who's formed around us already, because this is a slightly unusual situation to be doing live shots from here, I think. But it's definitely chaotic. It's definitely dangerous. I will say this. The Taliban appears to be trying to disperse the crowds, and there are crowds there of young men who seem to be just engaging in like criminal activity. I don't know if you heard that. They're kind of running towards the Taliban, and then
bro, what the f? She didn't even flinch, dude.
Running away from.
That's insane. You can't really see from the footage, but like she literally look.
Running towards the Taliban, and then
that's nuts.
Of young men who seem to be just engaging in like criminal activity. I don't know if you heard that. They're kind of running towards.
Okay, she maybe flinched a little bit. Never mind.
The Taliban, and
then holds frame immediately.
Running away from them again, almost like it's a game. But you know, when there's bullets firing like that, Brianna and John, it's clearly not a game.
We heard the gunfire there, Clarissa. Give us a sense if the Taliban is firing into the.
Why is she smiling? What the
crowds at people, or is it?
None of the homies give a either, by the way. That's even crazier. They're just like
crowd dispersal into the air. Are they letting anyone through?
This is good for her
what
career.
We can see, and for what we could see, we only had a very limited vantage point.
Dude, war journalists are a different breed, okay? I mean, I'm sorry. Like, they're very brave, but also part of it is like they're psychopaths. Straight up.
They're firing to disperse the crowds. They're not targeting people. They're not trying to kill people. But of course, the minute you're firing willy-nilly, when you have a bunch of civilians all over the road in civilian vehicles, people get hurt. That's what happens. So there's not a huge amount of discipline, let's say, to use an understatement, in the ways in which they are dispersing the crowd. We did see some people behind the concertina wire implying that they had been able to get into that first perimeter, but I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're running the gauntlet to try to get in there, because
stay on topic. So many unnecessary comments from you today. Hasan, stop commentating on dumb shit, please. Here, I'll commentate on your fucking being a permanent ban. You being permanently banned.
There are so many different things going on. You could just hear the gunfire is pretty much constant as the Taliban tries to push people back. And as a result, you're just getting lots of people on the roads surrounding the airport, like the one we're on, less than 200 yards away. You're just getting lots and lots of people sitting by the roadside.
How do motherfuckers not recognize, like, this dude is literally like an Amazon fucking manager over here? Stay on topic. A lot of unnecessary comments today. I'm seeing a lot of time off task from you. Not good. I know that you went up and peed earlier. That was that's going to be reflected in your quarterly earnings report.
Have their bags, and they're just obviously have no idea how they can get out.
And I know, Clarissa, that your cameraman Will is there, it looks like, on a tripod, but I'm just wondering if he can pan around a little more so that we can see the scene there, not too far from the Kabul airport.
Well, could you just pan around a little bit more to get a bit more of the scene? I'll step out to the side. you can see we've got this crowd around us, which is never great because you know, crowds are always a little bit dangerous. And most of these people, let me ask you, sir, are you waiting here to get out, or what are you doing here?
The most of the people.
Can we talk about how effective right-wing messaging is? My Nazi coworkers already calling how the Taliban being based for being anti-everything. What? Dude, ship conservatives to Afghanistan. You know how I had a Florida plan? I unironically think we should just like, okay, go to Afghanistan then. Like, I don't understand. Why don't you just go live there? We can do like a fucking migration plan where anyone that wants to live in like a more liberal or more modernized environment with more progressive values, like just substitute Islam for Christianity and they're on board. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild that some of them are actually seeing that though. You know what I mean? At least they're honest in a weird way. In a weird way, they're honest, right? Like when conservatives say like, oh, dude, the Taliban are so fucking based, dude. They're so fucking based, dude. Like, they're, you know, they don't fucking care about critical race theory. Like I saw a bunch of takes. I saw a bunch of takes on Twitter. I mean, some of them are really fucking dumb, but like someone was saying, I bet I could say slurs in like the Taliban occupied region without like scrutiny, or I bet I could say whatever I want in the Taliban occupied region without scrutiny. It's like, what? Like, why are you basically admitting that, you know, that's like the only thing you care about? I mean, Tucker Carlson did an entire fucking video about how, you know, the Taliban won because they don't have critical race theory. No, he literally said slurs. Notice how the Taliban aren't worried about COVID or rainbow flags. Just an observation. Are you siding with the Taliban on LGBT issues? Just an observation, coward. The Taliban spokesman got a question about freedom of speech, and he said the question should be asked to U.S. companies like Facebook who claim to promote it while still censoring. Donald Trump Jr., LOL, also not wrong. Paul Joseph Watson, low-key bigging up the Taliban, walked past Afghan boys dramatically retelling the story of looters taken down by locals in the Taliban. Everywhere you go, people are excitedly talking about how criminals who had been freely terrorizing Kabul for months are finally getting the punishments they deserve. Oh, this. Andrew Callaghan. Okay, we got to talk about this, dude. So I'm giving up a lot of the shit that I talked about with Brace and Liz, but we did talk about this. I made some fucking jokes, but remember the dumb fucks who said you had a bad take when you said conservatives in America aren't far off from the Taliban? I mean, they're not the same, obviously. Like, you have to substitute Christianity for Islam, but then also on top of that, like, their level of conservatism is adjusted to what is like our morality, like moral center. You know what I mean? So obviously, like, it's completely related to the material conditions, completely related to like what our lifestyle and what is normalized in America. But yes, conservatives here are trying to literally fucking dial back progress from happening with respect to marginalized communities, just like Taliban is doing that in Afghanistan. But because what is considered to be like the normal position for women in the workplace and whatnot, being in Afghanistan, being drastically different than here in America, they're doing it with respect to like whatever the fucking Afghan normal position is. I don't think that's like a spicy take or or all that exciting, really. People are trying to make this narrative of Taliban being whackers, yet all their PR seems to be very cognizant of current American discourse. They definitely are doing a lot more. What do you say to the psychos who support the Taliban? I mean, fucking go hang out with them. See how well you will be received. Like, you shouldn't compare conservatism of cultures who have been devastated by imperial powers with the conservatism of people in the imperial core. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be differences, certainly. That's why I said it's adjusted to the material conditions and what the normative positions are. Like what the hegemonic attitude is with respect to their particular circumstances, right? So, of course, like, you know, a conservative in Afghanistan, a fundamentalist in Afghanistan is going to be drastically different than a fucking fundamentalist in America. Ultimately, their core values align, conservatism, dialing back like civil liberties of any kind they can. But think about it like their Overton window is different. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? But this one was really funny. I mean, they came out, and this is like the type of shit that I think they arrived at this point on accident. There's no shot that the Taliban is like that aware of like the nitty gritty of like American conservative movements. Like, we'll see more if they actually start talking about like critical race theory or some shit. Then you'll notice like, oh my God, they're literally doing PR for the American hogs. But I don't know. Let's see what this video was about. So he's asked the question about freedom of speech.
This question should be asked to those people who are claiming to be promoters of freedom of speech.
So the other thing that he was criticizing is the top of the hour ad break. Now, the translator for some reason didn't mention that, but he said that, Ya Allah, like Allah willing, inshallah, there's a top of the hour ad break coming exactly at the top of the hour every hour. That's what they were saying. So it's crazy that he's saying that. I don't know why he knew that. I guess they're fucking watching, but this is why, like, I've been punished by Allah. That's why my back is fucking broken, okay? Because I do too much hubris.
Who do not allow publication of all information. I can ask Facebook company. This question should be asked to them. Promoters of freedom of speech who do not allow publication of all information. I can ask Facebook company. This question should be asked to them.
Yeah. So that one obviously took a lot of fucking, like, Andrew Callaghan, former Trump White House various agency lawyer, says he's right. And this isn't new. A lot of people lost their fucking minds about my 9/11 takes. Pepela 821. It's coming. You know, it's close. And yet, like, Dinesh D'Souza and numerous other conservative commentators at the time literally said that, like, what happened on 9/11 happened because, and they then turned around and agreed with Al-Qaeda. So, like, that's not a new thing. Agreeing with, like, religious fundamentalists as, like, conservative commentators in America is not necessarily a new thing. Like, I mean, here, Dinesh D'Souza published a book about it, basically saying the cultural left, the enemy at home, the culture of left, and the cultural left's responsibility for 9/11. In which he argues that the American cultural left was in large part responsible for the Muslim anger that led to the September 11 attacks. He argues that Muslims do not hate America because of its freedom and democracy, but because they perceive America to be imposing its moral depravity, support for sexual licentiousness, I don't know what that word is, on the world. D'Souza also argues that Abu Ghraib torture and prisoner abuse was a result of the sexual immodesty of a liberal America, and asserts that the conditions of prisoners in Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay are comparable to the accommodations of mid-level Middle Eastern hotels. Like, this is literally verbatim saying, like, America deserved
vegans.
And that, like, Osama bin Laden was right, basically. You know what I mean? That's insane. Pat Robertson had a similar take, too. So it's not new for conservatives to unironically agree with the Taliban. The Taliban is doing a better job in Afghanistan than what Erdogan is doing in Turkey. You fool, you are just hating. What? Bro, are you fucking insane? I mean, I despise Erdogan, but, like, you're literally delusional if you think that the Taliban are doing a better job. Anyway, the U.S. makes allies based on material returns to the global elite, but it maintains the system with liberal ideology. The trick is to completely ignore liberal ideology. There are slurs I'm sure I can say in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan that I can't say on Facebook. Why do you want to say these slurs? Like, dude, I want to say slurs so bad, I will literally go to Afghanistan.
So you're traveling here.
Yeah.
You're working with the American, with the ISAF.
Right.
They all have the documents for the recommendations, everything.
Right.
The Joe Biden every day they announce we take these guys they're working with the American or with the ISAF.
Yeah.
We take them to the America. But they are liars. Yes, they take these guys. They have.
Do you work with the Americans?
Yes, of course, of course. There is all like more than 50,000 people there crowded here. Today, all of them has gone to the homes. This is so less people now. They're here.
Fewer people here now than
Yes,
there were
yes.
a couple of days ago.
Yeah, our home is here. But all there's many flights
Did
empty.
you try to get in?
Yeah, but the Taliban didn't let you to go in.
Why?
If they're not let you.
What did they tell you?
They're telling us just stay here. The American says we take these guys. They have the American passport or American British, or they have the green cards. We take him. Otherwise, you have to stop here or to stay here. We tell them we cannot stay here because every day, the Joe Biden says we take these all the Afghan
Yes, to you.
workers there help us.
Right.
We take them to the America.
Have you applied? Have you tried to
Yes,
apply?
yes, of course.
And what happened?
They tell us we have to bring the HR letter update for the 2021, but it's impossible. All the companies locked down in 2014. It's very hard to find
Lots
the.
of people in the same situation.
Yeah, all the same. They have HR letter, but they doesn't have the recommendation letter. But most of them they lost their badge.
Right.
So,
So
and
what's
this
your message to America right
is
now?
our message to America. We help the American people. So that's their jobs to help now, right now here. There's a very bad situation. If someone know that you work with somebody, so the direct.
I'm just gonna.
Bro, this guy is just straight blasting his face on CNN. Something about this does not add up. I don't know if it's the sense of, I don't know if it's the desperation that he feels because, like, finally there's an opportunity to, like, openly fucking, ask the people of America to come help. But, like, what doesn't make fucking sense is like, if the Taliban are going to start murking these dudes, like, why the fuck is he not, like, why is he showing his face? I'm not saying it's like suspicious at all. I'm not saying like he's CIA or anything like that. Don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is I think that they literally fucking personally believe that the Taliban's guarantees of amnesty are legitimate. And even then he's desperate enough to like show his face, which I think is foolish. I would not do that. You know what I mean? That's nuts. Like, that dude is fucked, dude. His family's fucked. That dude is fucked. Like, what? You think the Taliban don't see that? If it's widely known he worked with Americans, he might not give a fuck. Like, this is his best shot in his eyes. Yeah, that's true. That's also part of the reason why I'm like, it's so fucked up that there's so many dudes out there fucking sitting behind keyboards on Reddit and shit being like, these guys are such cowards. These guys are such cowards. These guys are such cowards. It's like, dude, what do you mean these guys are cowards, bro? Like, you think it's a misstep and it's the worst kind of fucking government interference when, you know, Applebee's wants you to wear a mask on your way over to the fucking table to eat jalapeno poppers, okay? This dude's entire family is about to get fucking brutally murdered. And he's out here like showing his face and being like, we need help. What the fuck are you guys doing? And you sit there in America being like, oh man, these guys are such fucking cowards. That's crazy.
Thank you, sir. Can I just bring you in? You have a green card?
Yeah, see, this is my green card.
This is your green card. He's showing me a picture right now of his green card. That's his green card.
Bro, this is wild. Like, they're just showing what the fuck?
Back, look, shut up.
So you have a green card.
Yeah, and I have flight on the August 20
Right.
this Friday.
Right.
I already fill out the application for the U.S. Embassy.
Right.
And this is the emails that I got from the U.S. Embassy.
And so did you try to get in to the
Yeah,
airport?
I did. But
And what did the Taliban say?
Like the Taliban say, we don't know, just go. We don't want to try to let you in. And like they say, we don't have flights and we don't have
They don't have
anything.
flights.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just say, but they do have a flight.
They have
Okay.
flights.
See, I told you. I'm telling you, dude. I'm almost certain that like either the troops down there or the fucking embassy people like were just like, dude, you can't let these people into the American occupied part of the Kabul airport because like we don't have fucking flights. Do you see what I'm saying? Because like because they were letting people come in and there were massive crowds, but now they're specifically denying non-American people. And part of the reason why they're denying non-American people is probably because Americans are trying to evacuate all of the Americans and all the fucking Europeans and shit like that, so that they can then turn around and be like, sorry, no flights for you. We're going to control it with a limited, we're going to control it with like our limited involvement and the limited fucking, with the limited amount of bandwidth that we have. And that's it. That's what's going on.
But you're getting an impression, John and Brianna. I mean, look, I'm surrounded here, okay? And everybody here has got a story. People work for the Americans. One man has a green card. He already has his flights booked. Now they're pressing in. They want desperately to tell their stories. They want the Americans to know because they're not able to get past those checkpoints. They're not able
like, who's running security for her? That's what I don't understand. Like,
to get past the Taliban fighters. John, Brianna.
Clarissa, first of all, whatever you need right now, however, you feel, you're in charge with this, right? If you need to go, if you need to get safe, let us know at any minute. If you're comfortable where you are, this is important to see, because what we are seeing now is the disconnect between what the United States says is happening, it needs to happen, with what can happen. If there are thousands of Afghans that the United States has promised to get out of the country, but they can't get to the airport, that's a disconnect. It's showing that it's not a reality.
I mean, and that's what's so crazy, John. You're talking about some of these people, they have their paperwork. This man has a green card.
You understand attacking American journalists is completely against Taliban interests? Why are you surprised? No, that's not even what I'm fucking talking about. I feel like she's gonna get mobbed up. Not because like someone fucking hates her and like wants to kill her, but I feel like she's gonna get fucking swarmed. You know what I mean? Like of people who are like unironically very desperate. It's like it's a war zone, man. You guys are crazy. Like, I know that there is a little bit of stability from the Taliban, which is such a weird thing to say. Like, I never thought that I would ever get to a point where I was like, the Taliban is maintaining stability in Kabul. You know what I mean? But it's still like, it's still a fucking scary situation. If someone fires someone cracks another shot in the vicinity, and then all of a sudden everyone's like running around and getting trampled. Why are they doing that? Why are they trying to maintain stability? Because, and I keep saying this, and I keep repeating myself over and over again, it's in their best interest, because America gift wrapped and fucking put a nice little bow around Afghanistan and gave it to Taliban. And the reason for why they did that is because they thought the Taliban could offer more stability than the Afghan government, which was not capable, not popular, and also not capable of fighting against the Taliban for many, many years to come when the inevitable evacuation of U.S. troops happened. So they made the bargain. They made the bargain that it's better to fucking work with the Taliban and maintain stability, have them do some PR, have them promise that they're going to let like women get educated, stuff like that, which is why you hear them saying it. Was it a bad bargain? Bro, you're literally dealing with the Taliban. Of course it's a fucking bad bargain. But there is nothing else. Because we fucked up the region. We fucked up that country and caused it to be in a state of disrepair. Like, we caused irreparable harm in that country. There's no way that, like, you know what I mean? There's no fucking way that there is ever going to be stability there.
You are a U.S. green card holder. You should be allowed to get into that airport. But the problem is,
I mean, your theory assumes that the U.S. government knew the Taliban would take over in 3 days. Yes, my theory does assume that. And my theory, I think, is correct. And the reason why I suspect that the U.S. government knew that the Taliban would fucking, like, not the U.S. government, like, not the top level officials, but I do think that they were going to fucking take over inevitably. They said it was going to be 6 months, and they said 30 days, and then they took it over in 72 hours. Now, the reason why I think ultimately that the Taliban was going to take over no matter what was because they didn't even involve the Afghan government in the negotiations process, dude. They went to the Taliban, they went to the Afghan government, and the Taliban said, do not bring the Afghan government to the table. We do not give a shit. We're going to take over. Bro, they literally, they went to Pakistan and got a fucking top level mullah who is like one of the main fucking leaders of the Taliban out of prison, dude, to bring him to Camp David and negotiate with him. Like, well, why do you think they did that? Why do you think that they literally, why do you think Mike Pompeo has a photo where he's social distancing side by side with Mullah Barabar? A person that they got out of a Pakistani prison, a Taliban leader that they literally personally got out of a Pakistani prison. How did that happen? Why did that happen? Are you guys crazy? They did that on purpose because they were like, all right, we're going to fucking, we're going to give you Afghanistan. Don't be crazy. You got out for good behavior? Yeah, dude. That's literally that's totally what happens. They always allow former and current cells, leaders of terror cells to come out of fucking prison like that, dude. Now, Milley is saying that they didn't know Afghanistan would fall so quickly, but I 100% don't believe that. I think that's what they're saying because it's a massive fuck up for them to be like, we were there for 20 years. We already knew that it didn't fucking work. So then we negotiated with the Taliban and offered them Afghanistan. If they openly admit that, that is a gigantic fuck up. That's the reason why. They would rather look like idiots than look like fucking demons, okay? That's why they keep saying, oh, we had no idea. We had no idea this would happen. Don't be crazy, guys.
Make one comment on the intelligence, because I'm seeing all over the news that there are warnings of a rapid collapse. I have previously said from this podium,
not to be too much of a conservative, but like, what was he, too fucking busy reading Mao to read like any of the fucking security reports or even the Washington Post article that exposed that his military was like disastrously not equipped to fucking train the Afghan National Security Forces? Like, I'm sorry, dude. Were you learning about white rage too much? Is that why you fucking failed to see that? No, he knows. He literally knows, okay? I'm sorry. He literally knows. This is propaganda. This is PR. This is saving face. Okay? They're basically saying like, oh man, oh, who could have fucking thought that this would happen? If I'm a fucking idiot in America and I don't have access to like high level information, like highly classified information, okay? And I can fucking speculate from my goddamn living room that this was inevitable, and it was inevitable for many, many years, then of course they knew that too. They literally did. And also ironic because yes, if he read Mao, he would have known actually. So we have now exposed him as a phony fake Mao reader. Okay, he sounds, which makes him literally a leftist on Reddit. Okay, he is much like many of the leftists on Reddit. He also lies about reading Mao. So there is that.
In sworn testimony before Congress, that the intelligence clearly indicated multiple scenarios were possible. One of those was an outright Taliban takeover following a rapid collapse of the Afghan security forces and the government. Another was a civil war, and a third was a negotiated settlement. However, the time frame of a rapid collapse, that was widely estimated and ranged from weeks to months and even years following our departure.
Nobody could have guessed how fast Taliban would win. Meanwhile, Noam Chomsky back in fucking May was talking about it. Yeah, here, I'll show you this. God, he looks so old. This makes me sad.
It's a long shot. What do you, we can have a discussion later on about this. I don't know whether you want to make a prediction. What's the prediction, assuming this quote unquote pullout happens September 11th, what do you predict for the next year or two or three?
Don't claim any expertise in this, but from all the information it seems to me available, the Taliban will take over. The Afghan army will just collapse the way the Iraqi army did as soon as a couple of people started coming in pickup trucks and aiming guns at them. They just ran away. That's the U.S. created army. I doubt that it'll be any different in Afghanistan. Try to create an army the way we created. It's not going to be an army. So I presume they'll flee, collapse, hand over their guns, something or other. Pretty soon the Taliban will take over. It's a pretty ugly regime. We've seen it.
Do you think that, well, that's the other thing I was going to ask. You don't think there's been any change to the Taliban? You think once they take over, it reverts back to what it was before?
Well, there are reports that there are changes. I don't know. I think you really have to be on the ground to know that.
Yeah.
You know that the so-called expert analysts have mostly been totally wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's that. Not. Yeah. It's certainly not an optimistic situation in any way, and the likelihood of the interesting thing is, I mean, of course, trying to go beyond the U.S. media in any way is sometimes difficult. But the reason I asked you is what the Afghan people want is that I can't find sources. Well, not as to be fair, I haven't worked very hard to find them, or hard enough, but I really have no idea of what the Afghan people want at this point, based on anything I read.
I don't think anybody does. First of all, if you take polls, they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take polls to a population that's terrified,
yeah,
what does it mean? They'll tell you what you want to hear.
There was nothing that I or anyone else saw that indicated a collapse of this army and this government in 11 days. Let me make one comment on the entire.
So, I'm sorry, but I don't believe when General Milley says he didn't know this would happen.
It is such a chaotic situation, and the Taliban understands how this looks. The Taliban knows that having thousands of people on the streets desperately trying to press into the airport because they're so frightened, because they just want more than anything to leave, they know that that looks bad. So it is not entirely surprising that the Taliban is not exactly embracing this sort of mass exodus. The question becomes, what recourse do these people have? How can their safe passage be facilitated? And we're not getting any sense of how that could happen.
Oh, this was insane. I tweeted about this and joked about this.
Yes, sir.
Dude, the American, the American Military News Corps, the American White House press pool is like way too fucking comfy, dude. They're so insanely comfortable just like promoting the bottom line of the military industrial complex. Like, it is a complete psychopathic fucking question that this guy is asking.
President Biden said that there were very few national security interests for the United States in maintaining some peace in Afghanistan. Would you actually reiterate that today? Would you say that there is no interest for us having some presence on the borders of Iran, on the borders of Pakistan, on the borders of near China? Would you, or Tajikistan? Would you say that we should just give that up?
I would say that the president does not believe that the United States should be fighting and dying in a war for the purpose of sustaining American military boots near Tajikistan or Pakistan or Iran. No, I would say that that is something that is not. What you just laid out as a national security interest, we would.
Who is that reporter? I haven't seen a single fucking person tell me who this reporter is.
Would not agree that it is right to ask American soldiers to risk their lives for the purpose of maintaining a presence near Tajikistan. Yes.
We should just give it up. Well, it's not ours, so yeah, dipshit, we should. I mean, it's nuts. That, like, what an insane question from the media to just like turn around and be like, shouldn't we have military presence in Tajikistan? It's like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, complete psychopathic warmongering. GOP status, the neocons are back, baby. YouGov America, do Americans think the U.S. made a mistake by recently withdrawing troops from Afghanistan? Most Republicans say yes. Of course they do, bro.
All these daily streams, whether big or whether small, so there he is again. The sun is streaming, the sun is streaming. you wait.